All right, you guys, we're going to get started here shortly. I'm going to begin and kick this off with a couple letters that have been sent in. Again, Ripple Effects, we take no opinions on anything. We are just a platform for the voice of the people, and we connect, unite, and that's what we do. So I'm going to read the letters. If you haven't seen the letters, I will be posting them as well, links to them, and then we'll be on live at 7 o'clock with 3 accredited associations. Kevin Squires from Cape Breton Harvesters Association, MFU. Then we have the NOSA. We have Robert Courtney from north of Smoky. And then we have the third one here I had written on my phone just before I plugged it in. Then we also have the other association, Cape Breton Harvesters Association, which is Michael Barron. So he's just coming on now. All right, so we're going to get started with some letters that have been on social media for a while, and they represent the voices of a lot of fishermen, but we're just going to read them here. So on April the 7th, 20th, and again, I want to remind you that you can send in your anonymous texts if you want to go nameless, a question, a text to the number 902-305-7833. I'm in my kitchen tonight with the studio because we are joining with Robert Courtney, who doesn't have the computer link to do this. So I'm going to have to stand by with where we have cell phone reception for Rob on voice. But we are going to hear Rob Courtney from north of Smoky with his voice on this broadcast tonight. So thank you for joining. We'll get started here. Just waiting for some audience here to grow. And I can see your comments good. We'll do a sound check so everyone can hear me. Put up some thumbs there and we'll get started here. All right. April 7th, 20th. First and foremost, I want to say that I'm thankful to each and every one of you, especially since COVID-19 and the time, effort, and love you've put into this fight. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm from Bay St. Lawrence, which is located at the most northern tip of Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. My late husband and I have 3 children and 9 grandchildren. Almost all of our village population rely on the fishing industry, groundfish, lobster, crab. We also rely heavily on tourism. Let me paint a picture for you. My whole family has been involved in fishing for most, if not all of our lives, enjoying our work greatly. Our bodies ache and pains from this physical demanding job, as does our health. A couple of my crew has either asthma or bronchial asthma. We deal with it quite well and continue to do so with the job we love. For the past 21 days, we have been in self-isolation in order to protect our health. I only go out once a week to 10 days to get the mail or groceries. We have been using the online grocery option by ordering, paying online, and picking up zero contact. I've been adamant about washing hands, using disinfectant, and following all the updated information from the Prime Minister, Dr. Tam, Premier McNeil, and Dr. Strang. That being said, the Honourable Minister of Fisheries says there have absolutely been no closures in the fishery. We have not looked at that, closing the fishery, and there have been a handful of delays that have been asked for, but at this point, the plan still is to open all fisheries. We rely on the food chain. We rely on the employment that it brings to areas. And I think it's extremely important that we continue to follow fishers to fish. Quote, during this state of emergency, many advisories and cautions have come from all of your offices. You know what they are, but please let me touch on just a few. Quote, no one should have to choose between being somewhere they're unsafe and risking getting COVID-19. Quote, Mr. Justin Trudeau, we are all feeling unsafe. Quote, any workplace or business that is not deemed essential or not already required to be closed can remain open as long as a 2-meter, 6-foot distance can be maintained. We cannot do a 6-foot distance in a fishing boat. The virus does not discriminate. The virus is after us all, quote, Premier Stephen McNeil. We agree, Mr. Premier. We believe we are not in essential service during this pandemic and state of emergency. Why? Dairy farmers are seeing a decline in their sales and have to start reducing production. Milk, that is an essential service. If the dairy farmers are seeing a decrease in the demand for milk, what makes anyone think that people will be buying a luxury item like halibut, lobster, or crab? When the right whales were potentially being spotted in the fishing areas, every measure was taken and nothing was off the table to save those whales. From the DFO website, quote, A new season long closure protocol will be in place in the Gulf of St. Lawrence as soon as snow crab fisheries open for spring 2020. Unlike a preset static season long closure area, seasonal long closures will be applied to areas where whales are detected to be aggregating. Quote, if whales are detected in the same area more than once a 15-day period, a designated area will close until November 15, 2020. Hydrophones, underwater microphones, and visual sightings from vessels and aircraft will trigger season-long temporary closures. A lot of measures taken with a determination that areas will be closed if a whale is spotted in the fishing area. Why can't we treat the COVID-19 the same way? COVID-19 will kill people, it is certain. There is not a whale, lobster, crab, or anything in the ocean that is worth mine or my family's lives. In the mandate letter for the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, I quote, it is more important than ever for Canadians to unite and build a stronger, more inclusive, and more resilient country. The Government of Canada is the central institution to promote that unity of purpose, and as the minister in that government, you have a personal duty and responsibility to fulfill that objective. I would totally agree. We need to unite and build a stronger country. This is our time. I beg all of you to help us stay safe. Fisher people need your help. I would suggest extending EI benefits until the beginning of the fishing season in 2020 and defer payments associated with the fishing industry. We are only asking to follow the protocols set out by the federal and provincial government. All we want is to be safe, to be healthy, and to continue to stay the blazes home for our own safety and the safety of our precious community. Only you have the power to protect us. Charlotte McClellan, St. Margaret's Village, Nova Scotia. So that's one letter, folks, that we read, and we're just getting ready here to bring on the associations. There's Rob Courtney now. Hello, Rob.
Hello.
Let's do a sound check. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, we're just setting up for, I see Kevin Squires and Mike Barron on, and we're just getting ready here, so stand by if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah.
So just stand by, folks. We're just going to make sure the sound check can be heard, and we'll go from there. So we're just going to do a sound check here, guys. One more. If you can throw up some thumbs, say comment where you're watching from. Thank you so much, viewers, for watching tonight in a different location in the kitchen, just so that we can hear Rob Courtney join us from Ingonish. And just one more letter here we said that we would read tonight. So stand by as I just read this last letter. This is from, I'm just going to pull it up here. Okay. All right. This is from Lorianne Reynolds with Donnie Snow and 22 others. Hi, everyone. This is Jeff. I don't have Facebook, so I stole Lori's phone to make a post directed towards fishermen and give my 2 cents about the upcoming lobster season. I hope everyone is hanging in there. It's quite a crazy thing we're going through right now. And if you haven't had a little breakdown in some way, or anxiety, or headaches, or can't sleep, then you're a lot tougher than I am. Any of you who are worried about your mortgage payments, car payments, income tax owing, loan payments, even your household bills, stop. Every fisherman is in the same boat, no pun intended. In fact, thousands of Canadians a day are losing their jobs and getting on board with us. Banks and loan boards will work with you either through deferred payments or reduced ones. They are not in the business of owning thousands of properties and possessions that won't make them money. We are in a global pandemic caused by a deadly virus, and the only thing that we should be worried about is how to distance ourselves from other people so that we can buy time for the smartest medical minds to figure this out. I am a volunteer firefighter and a volunteer medical first responder within that fire department. I have been torn the last couple of weeks on whether to respond to calls or not. I've always said that I would be willing to risk my life to save another, but it's not just about me anymore. It's about the 5 small children I have in this home. And it breaks my heart that my mind has gone to a place where I may forsake a member of my community in order to protect my children. I tell you this because the situations also pertain to the fishery. Our trade is dangerous enough on the best days. If an incident were to occur and members of another crew were injured, should I help them? Yes. Am I going to help them? I don't know anymore, and it's an awful feeling. We have no idea how long this crisis is going to last. The first money handed out was given to the farmers to get their crops in the ground, and I hope there is no late frost or torrential rains to damage them because this is essential to our country. Now, as to the fishery, the minister has labeled us as essential. Well, I assure you that filling airplanes with lobster and giving it to Asia is not essential. In fact, it's a bit of an embarrassment after watching the Prime Minister yesterday thanking over 5,000 businesses and industries for offering to help. Again, we have no idea where this is going, so it's not unrealistic to think that we might be called upon in the near future to provide for our own people. Then we will be essential. I have heard some fishing areas are proposed package deals to the government for some help. Well, I think letting them know that we are standing by and waiting to help might be a nice incentive in getting those done and would allow us to be at home safe for now. Our lobster is a wonderful food source, and it's right here on our beach. We don't even have to get up in the morning to feed it or water it. Mother Nature takes care of that for us. I say we leave it be. Other than a vaccine for this virus, there is no scenario in which we can go fishing where the benefits will outweigh the risk, not even $100 a pound. We are definitely in one of those moments to decide what's important and what isn't. The virus hates that we are all sitting at home trying to kill it. It would love nothing more than for thousands of us to get in our boats, get on our wharves, and get in our plants so it can spread. Now, I'm just a deckhand and won't get a final say in the decision, so if the government doesn't shut the season down, it will be up to lobster license holders. So I end with this. If you vote to go fishing, if you choose to risk us all, if you choose to risk your communities in an attempt to pay your debt or hang on to material things, I say shame on you. So that again was a letter sent in just prior to the show. Once again, we want a disclosure that Ripple Effects takes no sides in any matters. We are simply a voice platform for the people. So we encourage you, nameless, anonymous, send in your texts if you like to 902-305-7833. And I want to bring on the 3 associations. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Here we go with Kevin Squires, Michael Barron, and on the phone with us tonight is Rob Courtney. Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hello.
So Kevin and Mike and Rob, we spoke before just about a couple of questions. I want to remind you all, lucky for you, I know nothing about the lobster industry. I'm just here to provide a platform for the voice and to just get some transparency on some questions. If you wouldn't mind, Kevin, Mike Barron, could you start out with your association? Any updates that you have? Apparently there was rumor of a conference call today. Is there any updates you have right now for those watching?
Yes. Today we had a conference call with the 9 local buyers and processors. Not all of them could make it today because some were in neighboring districts because the Eastern Shore is set to set on Sunday, but are looking at a potential weather delay. And we compiled the minutes for the last 3 meetings with the buyers, and they should be being sent out to our membership either this evening or midday tomorrow. So, but there isn't a whole lot to report because today on the call, they basically all stressed that it is a wait and see game with the Eastern Shore, that the price is balancing now around $5, but they don't expect it to stay there. Of course, when the Eastern Shore starts, and you brought up about talking about like the essential service and stuff, and it's a very hard thing to be deemed an essential service. And when our premier is telling us to stay at home and contradicting himself and making us go to work in our vessels, so it puts the associations and everyone in a very hard place because dealing with our government officials and the lack of governance that they seem to be putting in our direction right now, it's pitting fishermen against fishermen, and that never should happen. And just so people know, because most people were aware that 31A had asked for a variation order to set 10 days earlier and was denied yesterday. So they will be setting on the original date of April 29th. So apparently DFO is not ready and willing to work with us. So that is why the survey that has been sent out, although it puts two scenarios to go fishing, but right now it is a scenario that we are faced with, and we have to try to come up with a way that is the safest way possible, even though the market right now is volatile at best and doesn't show any signs of getting any better in the near future.
Thank you very much, Mike, for that update. And I also want to give you an extra shout out. I know you have kids like myself, and you're taking some time out of your personal evening tonight to come on. So I want to thank you. Plus, you're setting up your gear right now, my understanding. So thank you very much for coming on. Kevin Squires, is there anything that you want to add to that before we head to Rob Courtney?
No, I think Mike covered it very well. It's been what I can add. It's been a somewhat frustrating and difficult experience. Pardon me. Our three organizations have been working together, trying to come up with some answers, trying to learn where we can. And it's frustrating because there are no clear answers emerging. And we'd really like to be providing good information, lots of information to our members, but it's just not there. And as Mike said, it's really a wait and see game. Some elements of the market appear to be improving. But again, when extra production comes along from the Eastern Shore, that recent improvement in the market may not hold. So it's frustrating.
Thank you, Kevin. I also wanted to make note, I saw your safety video the other day, and I just wanted to give a shout out. That was a very nice, clear quality, good safety video put out by the Fishermen's Association. I'm going to be posting that up later. Rob Courtney, can you hear us okay?
Yes.
Would you like to, did you hear the gentleman? Would you like to add to that from North of Smoky Association in Ganesh?
Yeah, well, they pretty well covered all the bases there. You know, it is a hard time. It's hard for our fishers to choose where they should go or what they should do. And but I mean, that's why we put it out for the fishermen to decide. We don't want to be the three people to decide where we're going. So we give it to the fishermen to come back. And hopefully everybody can get out and fill out their paper and do their thing, and hopefully we can get that back, and we can make a decision from there to take it to DFO and see where it goes. But it's basically back to the fishermen to see what their choices are and what they want to do, and where we go from there. And we'll give it to DFO, and it's up to their where. So people fill out their cards and to voice their opinion. They have this chance.
So I understand.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much, Rob. And I have you on if you want to listen or if you want to watch it later. I have you on by my side here. Is there anything that the associations can add to this survey? Apparently there was a survey sent out at 6 o'clock the other day. Apparently some people haven't received it. Kevin or Mike, could we come over to you for that comment? What can be done if you have not yet received the survey from your association?
Yes. Okay. I know some people here in my local area haven't received it, but they have texted me, and then I forwarded them Adina's address, and I know a few had found it in their junk mail. And so if you have not received it, we cannot stress enough to reach out to our association and the other two associations to make sure we get it in. Now, you have to remember, this is just a survey. It's not a vote. It's just to try to help us narrow down some scenarios to bring to DFO. But in a recent short conversation with DFO, local regional office here in Sydney, they have stressed it is too premature to make a decision yet. Well, what is premature to them isn't premature to our fishers, because every day that goes by without any answers is another day of great uncertainty, whether to actually start to get ready or do we go fishing at all?
Anything to add to that, Kevin?
No, not really. Again, I mean, the frustration is interesting just how the frustration levels are growing with everybody. Excuse me. And I was trying to remember how many years I've been fishing, but this is such a very, very different year. Normally, you have a fairly clear path. You're doing, you know the jobs you have to do. You know the work that has to be done before you're ready to go fishing. And this year, there are so many fishermen around when you do see them, and there's not many interactions, which is itself peculiar. Everybody's in the same boat, again, pardon the pun, but nobody is making very much progress because we don't know where to go. We're getting very mixed messages. As one thing has remained quite clear about the market, that it's very poor. The anticipation is we're not going to be able to sell all the lobsters that we sold last year. So that opens up questions about how sales will be managed, and that's difficult enough. But there's a certain stability that argument has reached, has gotten to, and now it seems that the concerns over health and safety are becoming more to the front. Pardon me, my throat is suffering just a bit. Hopefully not the dreaded disease.
Thank you for that, Kevin. Rob, I just had a question come through for you, and I know we discussed it earlier. Maybe there was some confusion that you do have a bid out for crab fishing. Do you want to just elaborate on that?
Yeah, well, that crab allocation that has been put out for tenders, that's into the Gulf, and that belongs to fishers into the Gulf that they have a crab allocation, and they give it to North of Smoky to put out to 10, and we put it out on tenders, and Area 12 is going to open, or if it do, we just put out the tender that for somebody to fish it, and based on the price that they get for it, that depends on the price that gets back to the fisherman. So that's in the Gulf. It's not in Area 27.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Rob. I appreciate that. I'm just scanning the comments and my phone to see if I have any text coming through. I just want to acknowledge some viewers watching tonight. We have quite a large crowd watching right now all over Canada. We have 176 live right now watching. So just to acknowledge our viewers that have put up a comment: Darlene DeVoe, Nancy McKinnon, Brian Morgan, Gary Hunter, Huey MacArthur, Cyril Dix, Paul Fraser, Donelda McCaskill, Jacob Fraser, Elizabeth Douglas, Marilyn McKay, Rosemary Howie, Ray Guthrow, Curtis Young, Mary Took, Tootsie Fraser, Margie McNeil. So again, guys, we are looking at closing the show in the next few minutes. If you would like to get a question in there or input, please feel free to put something up on the screen. One question I just had, not a question, an observation, was there was quite a situation with the whales. Maybe Kevin, could I get you to go to describe a little bit why viewers were reading about the concerns that they had for whales and how they were comparing that to fishermen? Maybe clarify that for us, because there was some caution, I guess the different colored twine. Maybe just elaborate on what that viewer was referring to.
Pardon me, there's somewhat of an irony that someone mentioned a week or two ago that back a couple of months, our biggest concern was the work we had to do to mark our ropes to identify what we fished and where we fished in order to comply with DFO regulations around protecting whales. And excuse me, that concern has quickly been diminished by this concern over COVID-19 and whether we have a fishery at all. There's the contrast and difficulty that people are seeing is DFO has a very strict and clear set of rules of how they will work to protect right whales. Mm-hmm. And in this situation we're in, harvesters are feeling that they're not experiencing the same kind of protection. And DFO has procedures to close down fisheries if whales show up in the area, yet we haven't seen any clear direction from the department on how we might go about closing a fishery if the fishermen in an area, if the harvesters in an area deem that it's not safe or it's not feasible to fish. There's a certain element of that people have to keep in mind that it's a finite resource. We don't want to waste the resource. If the market collapses, the price drops too low, then we'll be harvesting something and not getting good value either for us or for our communities, for the country. I mean, it's the fishery is a huge economic driver in our province, and we're wasting a resource if we harvest it when it's not worth anything.
And then I read with one viewer that if it stockpiles and then you go to sell it, it really it flogs the market, or it just brings your prices down. Is that my understanding?
Yeah, I think that's a shared understanding that we all have, that the market is capable of only handling so much product, and if we put too much on the market, then it'll be carried over. It'll have to be sold at fire sale prices or whatever. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. It's happened in the past, and we would anticipate it happening again.
So to our viewers watching that, like myself, likely are learning a lot about lobster fishing in the last couple of weeks. It's getting a lot more noise and media attention, which is good. Can you put in the comments, I have a question for viewers. When you go grocery shopping, I know my answer to this, do you find yourself putting lobster on your grocery list as a grocery item? So yes or no in the comments. Just simply asking if you consider it an essential food item. I know myself, I have no issue saying that if myself and my kids, 4 kids, have lobster, it's a mighty fine treat. So I know where I stand on that one. So just put yes or no in the comments. Do you find, or do you consider lobster an essential food service? And then we're just going to go over to some comments. Let's see here. Cyril, I hope I'm saying your name right. Minister is saying fishers choose to fish. It seems that she's advocating their choice no matter what association is saying. Denelda McCaskill, has there been any talks with the province where there will be groups on people on the wharf and social distancing isn't going to be able to do? Are people going to be exempt, or are we going to be charged? So I guess by a fine, she means. Brian Morgan, seems to me that DFO are saying save a whale, but kill a fisherman. Janet Dermody, okay, here come the comments as to yes or no as a luxury item. McCachran, Paul Fraser, okay, seeing all the comments there. Rob, would you like to add anything to this at this time? While we're getting some comments in on the side. Rob Courtney?
Yes, there's probably one thing that we can use is if there's people having problems to get their say in on this, get the list done in. I can leave a phone number and that there for anybody that have a problem getting a number to give me a call. Okay, that's excellent. Thank you, Rob. Kevin and Mike, maybe we'll put your contact information to pass on if someone feels they haven't got the survey yet. Want to remind you that Mike Barron said, check your spam. So check your emails, check your junk mail. It might have gone to your junk mail, the email, the survey, and be sure to look there. Mike Calloway was going to be on with us tonight, but he got called into caucus at 7 o'clock. So he is going to be on Monday night as usual with us, and he is going to be speaking about any updates he knows. So Mike Calloway will be on Monday night. We have one question from Curtis Young. If the season opens, it's not only a risk to fishermen, it's a risk to vulnerable rural communities. So I'm just going to put your concern up on there. So in closing here, because I know I said we'd only be on here 30 minutes, and I think we have the important information out, but let's get some closing words, and I'll keep my eye on the comments as well. Mike, do you want to give any closing words tonight to the viewers?
would like to speak to Danelle McCaskill's comment about the wharfs. On a call last week, and I sent this out in the weekly report that we send out. So small crafts and harbors were putting something in place, and there was actually been discussion about potentially maybe the Harbor Authority working with the fishermen and putting a gate in, but that's just pure talk at this point. And they actually did say that it was going to be deemed illegal for public to be on the wharf. It was only going to be wharf staff and fishing boats or captains and crews. But again, I was not available for the COVID-19 call that they had, so I'm not sure if there was any more of an update, but the small crafts and harbors are looking into keeping the bystanders off the wharf, which we know in the coastal communities is the hub for local people and tourism, and it is going to be a very, very hard issue to try to keep people off the wharf.
Okay. Cassie Dixon says on the side, with sale price cut in half for our lobster and expenses to run a boat being very high, it will be hard or not impossible, if not impossible, for captains to afford to run a boat and pay crew wages with prices cut in half and possible limited catches. Dennis Pike, we got a gate in North Sydney and security. It works really well. Let's go over to you, Kevin Squires. In closing, do you have any closing words you'd like to get out there to the public?
Not a whole lot. Just to reinforce a bit of what Mike said, that Small Craft Harbors has been working on developing signage, and they're distributing it to the harbor authorities on that element. Regarding the survey that we all distributed, we worked together, and I really appreciate Roberts and his group and Mike's efforts putting that together. That's been a fairly unique experience, 3 organizations working so closely to put something together, and it just proves how important the whole issue is. So I really appreciate their support and help on that. I can't encourage our members enough to get in touch with us and let us know. There have been some comments around, there should have been more options or different options. And people have been suggesting, a different date. We could have been put in small changes. The problem for us is that we can only reflect in our deliberations what we're hearing from our members. Mm-hmm. We try our best to reflect what we're being told and what information is being delivered to us. So above all, we as association leaders have to hear from our members in order to reflect that to DFO, to the politicians, and to everybody else. So we really need the support and the information from those members, as well as the participation in the survey itself.
And you should know, I saw Paul Fraser say, can we get TV coverage? And for those of you, just to let you know, media, so especially older folks, everyone is on their device nowadays, everyone. So what's happening even in mainstream media is a lot of mainstream channels are going to exactly what you guys see right now in front of you, which is on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And so this is a platform because everyone has a device in their hands. And even on TV, I mean, you can project this to your TV, Roku, if it's on YouTube and so forth. So what I'm trying to get out there, viewers, is this is a very popular media platform. And with Ripple Effects, we have 228,000 viewers and engagements national per 28 days. So it's very good data and analytics that your voice is getting out there. That's all it means, is it's a very loud platform. And also, a copy of this show gets sent to our leaders, MP Mike Callaway, Jaime Baptiste, and they also forward concerns and compile their letters to Bernadette Jordan and those in government. So there is a channel that the more noise that you make and bring together relevant and reasonable comments, it is at least an attempt, to get some voice on it. So attention, Bernadette Jordan, if you're watching this, attention Mike Callaway, Jaime Baptiste, thank you for all the work that you're doing, but also thank you for listening to the voice of those fishermen and everyone involved in the fishing industry right now. Just want to make sure I'm covering all the comments here. Danelda McCaskill, will the fishers and crew who are on the wharf when there are more than 5, I think we just covered that with Mike. will there be charges laid? Mike, I believe you could just nod if you commented on that. I think you did.
I did, but not to the specific point of charges being laid on more than 5, because I can't recall that actually coming up in the discussion.
Okay.
But I will note it, and on the next call, I will try to get the question asked.
And I did get an anonymous text saying nobody other than the fishermen allowed on the wharves got the message today from the Harbor Authority. So that was, yeah. Go ahead, Rob.
Yes, Robert. Yes, we have a step further. The Victoria Co-op, we have like 6 wharves that we service, and Osborne did have a letter to all the harvesters and stated that you can stay aboard the boat, and the work is done on the boat, on the wharf, and there's no extra people allowed on the wharf, and he laid it all out pretty good for the unloading wharfs for the wharfs that they operate. So I want to thank Kevin and Mike for helping us with this. So appreciate it. We had a little problem. Our secretary is. They lost her house a month ago, and we lost everything. So we've been struggling to try to keep everything going to get this back with our secretary and that there. So I'm sorry, but luckily we've been doing trying to get it out. So if anybody have a problem with getting their computer thing out, just give us a call.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Last comment here. We're just closing here on the last 60 seconds of the show. Terry Butts, interesting comment, because I did see this in the news today. If oil is being left in the ground because the price is too low, and with prices predicted to be very low on lobster, why is Minister Jordan insisting no matter what, fishing will open? Doesn't make sense at all. So I know you guys don't have any response to that, but I did see that in the news today about the oils. So I think that wraps up everything. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here and see if we have anything. Sean Reshore, what about fishers who own lobster pound? Will we be able to sell to public if social distancing procedures are followed as other essential businesses are? Mike, do you want to comment on that?
No, I can't really comment on that because
Okay.
I don't have all the information, and I don't want to mislead anyone.
Yep. No, that's fine. Totally fine. Curtis Young, if the survey shows a closure is perfected, who will propose a compensation package and what sort of package? And again, I think we covered that. We don't have any, the associations don't have any other information than what was stated earlier on the show. So Curtis, if you just joined now, just rewind after we're done. And Mike, all of them spoke on the recent updates. So viewers, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your support and sharing this, making as much noise as possible for Cape Breton Island. In LFA 27 is what this show is speaking on behalf of. Please share, start watch parties, do whatever you can to help get this out. If you have any other comments, send them in. I'll make sure to get to the associations. Thank you for watching. This officially ends our broadcast, and thank you to our associations coming on board tonight. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin and Robert.
Thanks.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you all very much.
Stay safe, stay healthy, everyone.
You as well. Have a good night.
Bye now.
Good setting.